And what are you doing on a Friday night, you dumb nerd? You're sitting indoors messing around on YouTube instead of having some fun. You mean like those two are... You say that like it's mutually exclusive. Whatever. Hey, where's the... Okay, good. Just make sure the camera's pointing at the right spot. What is up, everybody? This is Jay, a.k.a. MultimediaJay. And you know what? YouTube is such a simple but effective thing. You start out with you, a camera, an idea, and next thing you know, you've got a hobby that spans 15 years and you have a lot of fun with. And, you know, with casual monetization, maybe you can actually make some pocket change to buy stuff for videos, or for more videos and things along those lines. But it's just crazy, you know, how YouTube has been one of those simple things that has worked as well as it has. So I would have been live a lot earlier, but were it not for a little something that's been going on today. So I don't know how many people have heard. Well, why am I framing it like that? That is such a stupid question. Why am I asking that? Okay, look, I'm just going to sit here and be embarrassed, and we'll just fire up some darn music here and get some things going. We do have some administrative things to talk about, but we have time to talk about that stuff. We'll get back to that a little later on. All right, so let's see. How are we doing on our levels? This thing is still at... All right, let's put it at 10 tonight so the background music stays properly in the background for ear trumpet. How are the limits on the mixers? Okay, good. We're good to go. So here's the thing. I don't know how many of you people have almost did it again. Why do I... This is so stupid because you can't say, I don't know how many of you people, when it's a very obvious thing. And it's nothing new and exciting to the tune of decades. But bottom line, we've all heard of classic rock, right? The songs from the 60s and the 70s that, you know, my parents might have listened to and stuff along those lines. Some people are arguing about whether or not 80s should be considered classic rock or not, or is that kind of its own thing, you know? And once things started getting polished up where music like what you're hearing right now was becoming a thing with this stream beat synthwave, when this type of music was becoming a thing, it kind of did its own thing and stuff like that. But classic rock, I usually think 60s and 70s and stuff like that. And I'm thinking, you know what? YouTube has changed enough that classic YouTube could very much be a thing these days. So I did a blog entry over at multimediajay.wordpress.com talking about how I was going to start a category for classic YouTube and join the hashtag classic YouTube. But I then started looking for videos to make a playlist on my YouTube channel, and 204 videos later, I think I probably should not say that I'm going to do like one video or group of videos per blog entry, because I will be blogging forever. But there's now a category on my blog for classic YouTube that's going to be basically write-ups of older YouTube videos from, of course, the bygone era, before all of this stuff we have today with like the meta and things along those lines. People talking about, oh yeah, put in calls to action, put in end screens, put in this, put in that. And watching all of these old videos, many of which I have not seen in years, just reminded me that YouTube fundamentally built itself on content, on people making good stuff. Especially in a day and age where you couldn't get past the need to make good stuff because technologically you were heavily limited. Some of these low-quality videos, once upon a time, YouTube was made fun of because it was synonymous with low-quality video. Today, you can do 4K on YouTube. You know, thumbs up to Google for finding a way to make that work so that now there's streaming beyond 1080p and all kinds of other stuff. But there's something to be said for something that's good, even if it's a total eyesore nowadays, because it had mono sound, an old digital camera, and it was made for the 100 megabyte limit of years gone by. So I think YouTube's been around long enough that classic YouTube is definitely a thing, and I've decided to make a playlist about it. So here we go. Let's see here. Most of the stuff on this playlist is from 2000s, some 2010s, but here it is. YouTube.com/MultimediaJay under playlists and created playlists, classic YouTube. Inspired by the My Decade TV project, if you've ever seen this. Be careful with this though. This will actually mess up your algorithms on YouTube. Yeah, what the My Decade TV thing is, it basically crawls YouTube for 70s, 80s, and 90s stuff based on like TV shows, news, music videos, things like that, and then tries to make it look like, oh, still some chat stuff going on. Nice to be reminded by YouTube recommended. Ah, cool. Well, here's the thing that I've been doing enough stuff lately, and I want to get back into videos too. I don't want to be a streamer, so just want streaming to be an extension of what I do. And some of the stuff with streaming really is an extension of what it is that you're doing. Learning the difference between the two is really cool for the YouTube of the 2020s. But if we go back to like 70s, 80s, 90s here, this is a website that basically has like an animated TV, and you can basically flip channels and watch TV like it's the 70s, 80s, and 90s. And it's basically going to be YouTube videos of stuff from those decades. Problem is, if you watch this for too long, the algorithms are going to kick in and think you want to see nothing but 70s, 80s, and 90s TV shows. So you will probably screw up your front page on YouTube by doing this too much, but hey, if you like, getting nostalgic like this, I'd say the couple days or whatever of your algorithms being completely screwed up are probably worth it. So there's full screen, there's playlist, there's shuffle mode. This was this My Decade TV project. I've known about it for years. This was the inspiration for this classic YouTube playlist. So here's the idea. You go to this playlist, you put it on shuffle and repeat, and then just whatever. You maybe have some ads you have to click skip on or something like that. But the videos that you're going to see are going to be vintage. And I like to keep it as chronological as possible, although I've been on such a, I've been on the hunt for all kinds of old videos that I used to really like, trying to see if they either are still up, someone else re-uploaded them, or something else. And so adding them to this list. And there are some personal biases in here. You're going to see a lot of World of Warcraft stuff because, 2006, 7, and 8, I was playing in the original trilogy of WoW, Vanilla, Burning Crusade, Wrath of the Lich King, things like that. But, oh man, this has been a real walk down memory lane because how do I remember so many of these old YouTube videos? I don't. I've had playlists for years. Going back to the early days of YouTube, YouTube originally had a couple of features that have gone away and in some ways have come back, depending on how you use your channel nowadays. One of those was a favorite list, or not favorites, it was a video log list, where you could feature other people's YouTube videos on your YouTube channel in the video blog section. You could do commentaries on other creators and stuff like that. So when that feature was retired, and playlists were being rolled out, I actually made playlists of everything that I had featured on my channel page, because this was back in the MySpace era, classic MySpace, not the musical thing that it is today. Is it even still around? I don't know. But old school MySpace, where you have like a page for yourself, it might not be designed all that well, might be totally colorblind, things along those lines. But yeah, old school MySpace, YouTube was like the video version of that when it first came out. So there, you could have your own theme, you could have your own page, it could be all different wild and crazy colors, before today's generic YouTube 1 inspired blah blah Google stuff. So back in the day, you could really customize your YouTube page. And you could also talk about what was going on in the YouTube community, as it was called, with regards to people creating videos. So you could do all this stuff back in those days, and I had a lot of fun. I was trying to publicize other creators and other creators. Some folks were trying to publicize me and things like that. And when all of that got shut down with the channel revamps around 08, 09, that's when I basically took and made playlists called Featured Favorites from way back when. Now there's some stuff there they don't agree with much anymore. I just keep it around for historical context. I was a fan of Ron Paul back in the days, when I thought the United States was spending too much money on things like Obamacare and stuff in the middle of a recession. It was kind of one of those public relations things that the American left kind of screwed up on. It was pretty easy for people to think we shouldn't spend more money in the middle of a giant recession. So, as you grow older, you mature, you get the other side of the story and things along those lines. But so the thing is, there are also some other videos that I have in those playlists that I did not bring over into classic YouTube because they're not really tied to early YouTube specifically. So if someone, for example, put a long play, like an Amiga long play of the Three Stooges, which I remember I used to watch on the World of Long Plays channel back then, because I think there was Grumpy Gamer, whoever it was, one of the many AVGN reviewers, inspired reviewers back then. She did a review of the Three Stooges on NES, and I was watching a few videos reminding myself of the Three Stooges on NES. Then I learned about the Amiga game that came out at the time, that came out around that time. And I used to, have like YouTube videos playing in the background while I was grinding in World of Warcraft or something. But here's the thing. The Amiga game, The Three Stooges, does not apply specifically to classic YouTube. It's just something that just happened to be uploaded during that time period. So that did not make it into this project here. All right, let's take a look at some of these. So first off, SLN Media has a really nice animation of the original YouTube logo with some music. Doesn't fit the theme of this playlist at all. I only have it here so the video can be the thumbnail, and it's a nice opener too, because when you start playing the videos, you're gonna start with a little YouTube logo, and then you're gonna be off and away, either to the Renetto's 2-bit unofficial YouTube anthem from the late 2000s, or if you have it on shuffle mode, it's gonna randomly pick a video from this list, and I'm gonna see if I can track down way more videos to add to this thing. So there's all kinds of stuff in here. There's old AVGN, there's Armeg 21 reviews, there's Jedi 1 reviews, there's the old Urinating Tree reviews. Today he does sports commentaries and things like that. But let's look at some of these early ones here. We have 2-bit, the unofficial YouTube anthem. Renetto kind of was one of those big vloggers back in the day. He was somebody you would eventually find out about if you were involved on YouTube, as well as other folks like Greg Solomon and Digital Soul, and even Blunty back then, Blunty 3000, and David DeFranco, or not David DeFranco, Phil DeFranco, who was known as Sexy Phil back then. There was also, who was, not Screw Attack, SMP Films, Miss Corey, Mr. Safety, etc. Lots of YouTubers back then were doing vlogs and other stuff. So this kind of smudgy webcammy, horrible camera looking thing, that basically was the early days of YouTube in a nutshell. He's had some problems at Content ID though, because I think he was making new lyrics over the top of some hip-hop track or something, and so when Content ID came out, every video he was using with the 2-bit everybody's doing it thing was flagged, and the ad revenue was redirected. So just old YouTube kind of clashing with new YouTube. Me at the Zoo, this is actually the first YouTube video ever. I say this is actually the first YouTube video ever. Never really cared about this video, but for historical context, it's there. Now, the reverse Jingle Bells prank. This is a guy getting owned by Screamer Pranks. Back in the early... that reminds me. I gotta go find... There's a Screamer video I gotta add to this. It was called Google Earth Catches Couple Having Sex, and it was a Screamer video. I gotta add that in here. That was classic. I think it made its way onto the front page at one point. But there was something on E-Bombs World at the time. Yeah, remember E-Bombs World? Some of you probably weren't even around for it. But E-Bombs World, there was a thing where, hey, there's a secret hidden message in Jingle Bells, and it turned out to be a screamer. This is a guy falling for it. Hook, line, and sinker. Video circa March of 06. Holy crap. So, yeah, World of Warcraft, Lord Kazak being kited to Stormwind before that was patched out. AVGN, Karate Kid, two people racing each other in Super Mario Brothers back long before Twitch and the showdowns between speedrunners. We do have some old AVGN in here. Might add some more classic episodes that I really liked as well. But I want to focus primarily on the 2000s with some 2010s. There is some 2010s in here, like Facebook Gaming for the Troubled Teen, which was went viral around 2012. Guy's daughter was acting up. She's probably like closer to 30 now, but guy's daughter was acting up and posting nasty things about her parents on Facebook. So he's what the Twitch streamers these days would call K-Kuna W. He actually took a pistol out and shot his daughter's laptop in a YouTube video. Well, you know what? I spent all that time upgrading your laptop, and you want to mouth that about me? Well, ba-boom, ba-boom, ba-boom. You can buy yourself a whole new laptop now. No. Some early Ashens as well. This is the Game Station review for... There's some others in there too, like the rip-off of the Wii, the V, and stuff like that. Funny accident in a server farm. Server farm got flooded. Zera and Isaacs Super Mega Transform, which was a big blue screen video back then. Pretty hilarious, and it made the front page of YouTube. Guy paid to scream in the library is oldcollegehumor.com. Mom, thank you for the 10 Aussies. Hope you're enjoying the this kind of nostalgia type thing here. Dude, hey, is that thing even working here? Oh, good. It is popping up on there, and it's showing the proper exchange rates. Running out of screen space for all this stuff. But yeah, this is whoops. Put it back on the right screen, darn it. Yeah, guy paid to scream the library. That's an old collegehumor.com video. Yeah. Super chat messing me all up, man. Anyways, proof the PS3 controller is not new. I don't know how many were around for when the PS3 launched, but 6-axis was kind of a big selling point to make up for the fact that the original PS3 controller didn't have rumble in it, unlike the PS2 controller, but it was wireless. Remember, Sony was competing with the Wiimote at the time, so they had to have something. This guy was doing a demo of an old Warhawk game with a motion testing controller on the PlayStation 1. AVGN, Ninja Turtles, and Back to the Future. This is a re-upload of Jason the Nerd, who was an early tech YouTuber that I used to watch a lot of his videos for, making fun of the guy from Alaska who said that the internet was not a big truck, it was a bunch of tubes. Alfred will like this one. Some of Alfred's more vintage videos, and I gotta find some more from, he's a long-time YouTuber. We've been cracking jokes at each other for years, but he has a video where he goes out on one of his nephews or whatever it was, pontoon boat in Florida, and it's just like looks really nice because they're, it's a sunny Florida day and they're going out into the water, and then they go out into the ocean with a horrible little motor, and fortunately the waves weren't too choppy. Mazda versus Mazdam ship horns. This is by a guy who originally went by the name Air Raid Siren, and see, at the time in these early YouTube days, people were making prank videos of like putting train horns in their car. So I was looking at train horn videos, and whatever primitive little algorithms YouTube had back then eventually introduced me to this guy who put ship horns in his truck. That's right, the kind of horns that would go in a giant cruise ship. He took a bunch of compressors and all kinds of other stuff and put them in his truck and, made them all work and stuff like that. Then you get to some other skits and some things that were originally on the front page, like Cat Wheel by Richard Norton. This was on the front page of YouTube back in the days when I was calling them YouTubes. Someone did a port of Doom that put Mario characters in there. AVGN McKids. Mountain Dew and cough syrup. Some call me Jim. Early YouTuber, used to make some multimedia type videos about cameras and recording and some things like that. How to choose a camcorder for YouTube videos. How to he did some comedy skits as well. I think he wound up having to quit making videos because he became a parent. Ran into a Twitter account that I think he had a couple of years ago. About, I was back, I was an OG YouTuber, now I'm a dad, and stuff like that. Incredible Mouth Band. This is one of those dumb things that YouTube was known for in the early days. Basically, someone took a song, recorded themselves playing the song on instruments, and said the name of the instruments, and sang it that way. So, guitar, 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 stuff like that. Making fun of Screamers, World of Warcraft skit, making fun of WoW, Nintendo Wii GameStop prank. I won't spoil the joke on that one. Some early cover songs like Esme Denters' cover of Tears in Heaven by Eric Clapton. Here he is, Gym Class. Let's buy a camcorder from Some Call Me Jim. YouTube's old problems with internal server errors. Digital Soul. I mentioned this specific goodbye thing when he was moving one time in a vlog, in a blog entry once. Gotta find some more classic Digital Soul videos from 06, 07 to put in here. This guy was always really mellow, even though he looked like the kind of guy that would just like to be at the gym all day. Oh, Warhammer. Age of Reckoning. Interview with the devs for Warhammer Online. And he made fun of people playing healers in MMOs back then because healers couldn't hardly do anything except stand around waiting for someone to get hurt. Then, and I heal, and I heal, and I heal, and all that lovely stuff. The Numa meme from back in the day. Mario 64 lol. Folks bought Mario 64 on the Virtual Console, thought that it didn't have, like, the thing to get to, the submarine to get to, to get the star there. Then they remembered in Mario 64 you have to beat Bowser in order to get... Truth about PS3's backward compatibility. In the early days of PS3, there were actually problems with backward compatibility for PlayStation 2 games. So, yeah, I mean, we're just going way back. And it just keeps on going. I mean, sometimes I have chunks of videos from various people I was watching at the time. Even an old pre-irate gamer, Chris Board's video from his old Y2B channel. things like that. Here's the Some Call Me Jim tutorial that introduced me to 3-point lighting for the first time. So this StarCraft theme guitar cover is amazing for a video that came out in 2007. There are people even more recently that are like, hey man, why is the quality so good? This is a YouTube video from 07. Cats on Treadmills, the Chocolate Rain song, Slightly Mad Science. This guy was hilarious. Did videos in his garage. Orgrimmar Raid. Not an interesting title, but this is from the olden days of WoW, and having a raid that was too big to do world PvP would bring down the world server. We can't talk about the 2000s without talking about getting rickrolled, so 3 guesses what that is. Bunch of World of Warcraft stuff. Air Raid Siren. Oh, Kosaga. Kosaga, the guy that introduced me to Shakadins. This is a 4-part, because, you know, things were limited back then, a 4-part World of Warcraft PvP video that is now, I believe it, well, back then it was, but it was on warcraftvids.com back in those days. Double Holy Prop Paladin Arena, other stuff, how to tick off a telemarketer, Chris Perillo, da-da-da. And so you got some viral stuff, you have some early Ashens, you have some other things too. And even old Hack 5 episode. This is the one that I never got around to watching, and, you know, stuff like this. But all kinds of other things. There's some biases in here. Like, I was working on a presentation for a Halloween slideshow back in the late 2000s, and so I ran into this pumpkin song. But anyways, In Need of the Rapey? What the hell? Tarag Silver. What the heck is with these YouTube names, man? Tarag Silverhand, The Carnage Continues, Rep Paladin. This is from Burning Crusade. Dork Mage AFK, guys ganking people as a Palm Pyro Mage. A lot of World of Warcraft stuff. Then the Onion got in on everything and made Onion News Network. So you'll see some of that start showing up. Some older classic Game Room. Lindy Beige on how swords don't go shing. Some stuff from the Ret Super A guys in their early years and stuff like that. And continuing on into the 2010s, even Sarah, also known nowadays as Sarah Fit, the video that introduced me to the Photoshop effect back in the late 2000s and stuff. So, some of these videos are random, some of these videos are total eyesores nowadays. Even John Boehner flipping out on C-SPAN. Which was pretty much a meme back in the 2000s in the early days of the Obama administration. Some R-Make reviews coming in. The infamous Domino's response to some bozos who were like spitting in someone's pizza and they got fired and it was a national scandal, went viral, and the CEO had to do a teleprompter video to be like, yeah, we're not gonna da-da-da-da-da-da. But because I watched this again, there's actually a CNBC report from more recently about how Domino's has been doing a lot better in recent years that I gotta check out. But there's just so much. Oh, in the days long before the mukbang thing that happened, though, that sprung up in South Korea, this guy actually, Luigi Master, this guy actually did a video where he just ate food in front of the camera. My introduction to B. Bishop PCM's world, how to wash a laptop, where he took an old laptop and, well, put it in water and said, hey, I never said it would work afterwards. Man, the days when Guild Wars 2 was a game that was being teased and everyone couldn't wait for it to come out. Now, some of these videos are out of order, like the message to Chad Warden from Armec21 is because this is from the archive and stuff along those lines. So various archive channels for YouTubers that shut their channels down and re-uploaded some old videos and things like that. Even the Nyan Cat meme from back in the day. Oh man, oh man. Early references to PewDiePie from the Ret Super A guys circa 2010. Yeah, some music videos as we get into the 2010s, like this Skrillex song. I mean, yeah, I think Skrillex does he even still do anything nowadays? He used to be like tied to the 2010s as a decade. I might actually go look for that old dubstep, whatever. I might actually look for that old song, like, what was it? Nasty Characters and Nice Sprites or something. It was one of those screechy, bleepy songs that was really popular in the 2010s. Might add that in here as well. But yeah, so if you're 2000s and 2010s, oh, the fake twerking video. The fake twerking video that was actually a Jimmy Kimmel stunt. Still funny to see all this stuff nowadays. But, yep, and there we go. It's mostly sorted by when these things were published, except all the redos and all this other stuff and re-uploads are basically throwing all of that off. So, if you're gonna check out this classic YouTube thing, Put it on shuffle and then just see what happens. Maybe turn repeat off so you don't get reruns and stuff. But like I said, it's inspired by the My Decade TV project. And so there's a couple of YouTube videos that I've already been reminded of, so it's not going to stay 204 videos forever. Thanks for the 10 Aussie dollars. Yeah, back into stuff along those lines. So, but yeah, that's it. I mean, YouTube's been around long enough for it to be classic YouTube. You know what this all reminds me of? This all reminds me of course, something. Let's see here. Get out of this thing here. I gotta get a new alert first. I gotta get a new alert for super chats and stuff like that. So, never thought I'd actually get any super chats. That's why you still got the generic alert from Stream Elements here. So, let's see. Yep. Not browser, regular camera. So yeah, YouTube's been around long enough. I would definitely say classic YouTube is a thing at this point. But it's also a very sharp reminder. YouTube, before all the gimmicks, before all the people freaking out about, can I do this little dumb thing in my thumbnail and get more views? Before people started freaking out about this stuff, people just made stuff and other people enjoyed it. So simple, right? So simple. But the thing is, you look at some videos that are just simple. They have nothing at all. They're just like a recording of something, like the World of Warcraft thing with the mage. You know, the World of Warcraft thing with the mage who is, who's ganking people. Where is that? It's the Dork Mage something or another. Put it on Twitter earlier. That was nice and simple. It was nice and simple YouTube back in the day. Before all the fluff that we see nowadays. Let's see. Is it on here anyway? Well, it is. I just gotta go scrolling for it. Well, yeah. I'd say that YouTube's been around long enough that it's definitely, this is definitely something to pay attention to. So, one of the reasons why I did this, a lot of these older videos, maybe some of you remember them, maybe some of you forgot, and you've just been reminded of some of them, and I'm going to add more as I remember some myself. There's also hashtag classic YouTube, which already has channels of people posting older YouTube videos. This is a giant war against the algorithm, so to speak, because many of these classic videos, if you go to try and dial them in and go find them and watch them again, the algorithms are going to show you way newer stuff long before. And that's one of the things that has me curious. I wonder if you can have this, like, go to sleep with this playing on auto and on autoplay, shuffle, and repeat. Load the algorithm up with a bunch of stuff, and then see your front page turn into like all 15-year-old videos the next day or something. Like, force the system to like send you back in time and show you more videos from like 10, 11, 12, 13, 14 years ago. I'm legit curious with how algorithmic YouTube is these days. So it's just something where I started noticing that some videos are like, hey, you know, I haven't seen that in a while, just for the hell of it, for old time's sake, let's fire it back up. And I really had to be good at searching. Sometimes I actually had to go outside of YouTube and Google search for the old video. Maybe I only remembered what the name of the person was and what the video was and when they made it. But there were some times when old school Google searches actually worked better than poking around YouTube's UI to find some of these things. So it's just one of those things where today, one of the biggest things people are worried about is the technology on YouTube artificially shutting off their ability to get views. It's one of the things, that's one of the reasons why people put up with Twitch even. Because they think that Twitch with less technology means they can do more, and they're not the, you know, they're not under the thumb of the computer systems here. So, because of this, myself and other people who have playlists like this are kind of just, you know, fight the power, that sort of thing. So, yeah, here we go. Right there. World Series of Uno, Cat Wheel by Richard Norton. Actually, you know what? Let's see if I can find this. I don't want to flash any TOSC videos on the screen here. So why don't we go add something to that? And well, considering, you know, it's demonetizable-ish. So is classic YouTube a thing yet? Thanks for the generated thumbnail, YouTube. All right, let me see if I can find it here. Google Earth catches couple having sex. That was the name of it. It was, yeah, there it is. Couple caught having sex. There it is. 14 years ago, 4.5 million views. It's an old screamer prank. Da-da-da. We're going to add it to the list. Save. Classic YouTube. Screamer pranks. There we go. If I think of any others, we'll add it in too. So, yeah, well, just for the heck of it, put Firefox on the screen here. If you never saw it, it was this one. Put it in theater mode. If you never saw it, it was this one. In the early days of Google Earth, there was a video where, yeah... I think this made it on the front page because it was a screamer prank. People laughed about it and stuff like that. Then you get down to the end and, oh, vampire baby! So, oh man, back in the day, man, back in the day. And that's the thing. I talk a lot about these days about how TikTok is disrupting YouTube, much in the same way that YouTube disrupted traditional media. And if you take a look at some of these videos and just how random they are. Let's reload now if we can get that other one in there. So, it's probably down at the bottom, right? Plastic Game Room reviews Seaman for the Sega Dreamcast. Irritated Gamer Show about the Bugs Bunny birthday ball. There it is. So, some Ret Supres in here, some other stuff in here. 2000s and 2010s. But you look at some of the randomness of some of these videos. You look at how, especially in the case of, let's see here, this one, the reverse Jingle Bells prank, that was less than a minute long and it was just, haha, something funny. Of course this is the sort of thing, where, you know, TikTok would do the same thing with smartphone videos years later, and then YouTube would take notice, and now voila, YouTube Shorts. The thing is, though, while TikTok's the OG with this kind of stuff, YouTube is really YouTube is kind of made it as a launch pad into YouTube type stuff. You can put end screens in and things like that. So there's a tendency there that even the so-called YouTube knockoff of this is probably going to turn into, knockoff of TikTok is going to turn into, well, something YouTube-ish and things along those lines. But yeah, that's live. Classic YouTube. I got sick and tired of some of these videos being hard to find, and there's other people out there too, so that are doing these kinds of things. So hashtag classic YouTube. Hey, if you know of some old videos from back in the day that you want to make a playlist of, why not get in on the fun? So, matter of fact, what is on that hashtag now? Hashtag classic YouTube. I might want to check vintage YouTube as well. Maybe get in on that as well. There's less than 100 videos and channels on there. Some of this, though, I don't understand. Like, there's a video that's only, like, 2 months old or whatever that's on there. Less than 100 videos and channels. It's a hashtag thing, though. Is there anything that's really old in here? Nah, not really. Let's see. I did find some playlists in here, though. Where did I find the playlist last time? How about vintage YouTube? Hashtag vintage YouTube. So there's even somebody that's looking for YouTube on the Internet Archive to see what everything used to look like. Still less than 100 videos and channels. All right, it's just getting some weird results when I'm looking at that, so we'll skip that. So yeah, classic YouTube live on the live in the playlist section on my channel page. As I think of lots of older videos, since people are calling me a YouTube boomer or whatever, since I'm thinking of lots of older videos, I'm gonna add that in. And every time I think of a video that I used to like, I'm gonna go, probably go try and add it to the playlist. So if you want something somewhat like the old experience of watching YouTube in the heady days of the late 2000s and early 2010s, then putting that on shuffle should be pretty good. Should be a pretty good way to do that, except for the ads, of course. So, except for all the advertising. I mean, the first ads were pop-up ads and stuff, but it's kind of cool. Maybe, we could start like a movement or something with one of these hashtags to have playlists and stuff. I'm kind of concerned about the results that I got, because I actually found out about some of these old meme videos again through some other people's playlists that correspond to this whole tag. So, anyways, some other things that are going on here, since folks are kind of quiet tonight. So, you may notice there's a date in the title, 4/16/2021. So that's something I've decided to do with a lot of my, that's something I've decided to do with my live streams. So, I got the idea from some of the VOD channels that some of the Twitch streamers doing VOD channels are doing, where they archive their VODs on YouTube. So they usually have the date in there, and it's really basic, but it's a simple idea that works. And here's the idea behind it. We could have something show up. We could have something show up where somebody just brings up a topic, everybody's passionate about it, and we all just go down like a different path from what the stream was originally supposed to be about. But YouTube has policies nowadays on deceptive metadata. One of those is a deceptive title. Could change the title after the fact if we really wanted to. But I think, you know, for the more chronological discussions like this, it'd probably be good to have the date in there and then not make too much reference to the title in case the discussion for the stream turned out to not be as topical as it otherwise would have been. So, it's an idea I got from the VOD channels of various Twitch streamers. They're worried about copyright strikes because Twitch has a more primitive copyright system. Those of you that were around for YouTube copyright in the noughts will be familiar with what Twitch streamers are putting up with now. So it's strikes only, it is way too primitive, and folks are scared as all heck to leave stuff on Twitch for any respectable length of time. So they have started, a lot of streamers have VOD channels going on right now. A lot of these VOD channels actually just put the date of the stream in there as well, so everything can be cataloged. And I think after enough people do that, and enough streamers get enough views, it's probably going to turn into some sort of thing that the systems are looking for anyways, when there's a lot of people that are just leaving streams on YouTube. So, putting all of this together, what I decided to do is I'm going to go back through all of at least these kinds of streams and put dates on them all. Play Some Stuff is topical enough that I don't think we really need to do that. But in terms of like hang out and chat or, you know, look at some other stuff, I think those streams are good for putting some dates on and things along those lines. Plus, it'll be easier to see, you know, if you look at just the raw uploads, quote unquote, the streams go there afterwards. So we're going to take a look at that. We're going to do some other stuff as well. The other thing we're going to take a look at here, I don't know why the participants thing always breaks whenever I get concurrence. I can never see who's in the chat in YouTube live control room. Just, come on now. Some things are not as polished as Twitch on the streaming side of things over here. So here's the thing. At least I don't have 50 bazillion bots. You know, like Commander Root and Moobot and Electrical Longboard. I don't know. Twitch just recently did a purge of bots off of their platform. I just hope that doesn't break something like, say, maybe cataloging for Sully Gnome or something, or Twitch Tracker. That's numbers nerd stuff, though. So yeah, we're going to switch to having dates in the titles. I'm going to go back and retroactively add some dates to various streams and things like that. See if I can get the stream date if I can remember it. Otherwise, you know, we'll just keep things this way going forward and stuff. So, be easy to tell the streams apart from everything else. Now let's talk about the everything else. I'm going to be revisiting monetization with the mid-roll ads. Because let's face it, YouTube is just getting way too aggressive. YouTube is far too aggressive. The number of mid-rolls in like a shorter video that's above the 8-minute minimum is enough to totally break the presentation. So it's just jarring. And here's the thing. If we take a look at how YouTube has progressed with ads and too many ads, it used to be something you could brag about. You used to be able to say, hey, look, yeah, I get an ad to watch a YouTube video, but at least I get one 30-second commercial as opposed to whatever's on TV these days. Well, that's certainly not the case nowadays. You have a barrage of ads when you watch a video. You have unskippables leading into skippables, so you can't even use your skip button right off the bat. Just isn't it obvious that YouTube is trying to ramp up the ads more and more and more? Some of that, I imagine, is an arms race with people using ad blockers. People not buying the premium service and whatnot, and they're just using ad blockers instead, so YouTube tries to compensate with more and more ads. But this got ridiculous a long time ago. It got even more ridiculous when YouTube rolled out the right to monetize in the recent TOS update. So people that are not partnered will have ads in their videos, and that will no doubt, at the least, it will stunt their growth because ads kind of jar your presentation a bit in terms of what you're trying to do, especially when YouTube is placing uncontrollable ads that you can't do anything about. But I'm wondering if it might be causing kind of a rebellion among smaller channels, where if they're not partnered, they're telling people to start using ad blockers. It's like, yeah, YouTube's doing this, I can't do anything about it. Let's use uBlock or something like that. YouTube. It is going to be an arms race, but I think the only real end to this whole thing with YouTube and advertising is for YouTube to realize that there are platforms that have monetization outside of advertising, to the point where, like on Twitch, for example, ads are so insignificant with Twitch streamers that Twitch is having a heck of a time getting people to run ads to swap pre-rolls for mid-rolls and things along those lines. So that's one of the ongoing arguments there. Meanwhile, over here on YouTube, ads make for very nice passive income for the people that aren't blocking them. And depending on the CPM and how valuable the content is, you can actually get some decent fun money out of that. Make the right stuff, it'll make more money. The algorithms kick in and pass it around, and next thing you know, you have a passive income. But even still, with all the talk about monetization and ads, then we get to this discussion I had earlier, which I'm going to have yet again, because I believe that monetization on YouTube will evolve into something to where advertising isn't as critical. Because, I mean, let's face it, this whole thing of just shoving more ads into the videos is going to just backfire more and more, and then you have goodwill to consider. Now, there is a technology now where you inject the ads into the video so it becomes part of the video and you can't block the ads. But even if YouTube experimented with something like that, what it would do is just tick people off to where they wouldn't watch YouTube as much. So I don't know if that is, even though I think Twitch has experimented with it with SureStream ads, I'm not so sure that YouTube would really want to follow suit on that. The real solution is what YouTube's kind of been going towards, but they're missing a few key steps. And some of what we saw tonight with the Super Chat. Monetization that is not tied to advertising. A scalable system for YouTube to get a cut of stuff without having to flood everybody with ads. And that's why I support things like supers and channel memberships and things like that. A couple of tech videos from now, I'm going to enable memberships on my channel. Now that I know that channel memberships have been dropped down to universally being 1,000 subs. It used to be 1,000 subs if you were a gaming channel, and like 40,000 subs or something like that, or 4,000 or something, way higher number for non-gaming channels. That was probably how they tested everything out. But the most recent help file on YouTube's support site mentions that you need only 1,000 subs to get channel memberships. And I think they'll probably drop that down even lower. Because right now the biggest issue with YouTube's monetization and the partner program is that ads are tied in to the point where you can't really do anything that doesn't involve them, even though there's perfectly valid non-ad ways of monetizing. Historical notes regarding monetization programs. We talked about this before. Let's go over it again and highlight stuff as we go. Early YouTube competitors like Rever beat YouTube into the ad revenue sharing space in the mid-2000s. But when YouTube rolled out the same thing, it defeated the coolness of the idea. Rever eventually wound up under the Live Universe network, which also had livevideo.com back then, and everything went out of business. Company went broke. YouTube partner programs started as something elitist. I remember people bragging about being partners, but became more available based on how much ad revenue was available to creators from what had been sold. It's probably how it still runs today. Revenue goes up and down. It gets gated or not gated depending on what creators are able to make. Despite gating the partner program behind 4,000 watch hours and 1,000 subscribers, YouTube stumbles and other things like ad blockers have eaten into the value of ad revenue sharing. Now over on Twitch, we had folks like Wreckful, rest in peace, doing things like donos. I call them donos instead of donations because I want to go with an unofficial term, because formally, donations are exclusive to nonprofits here in the United States. There's a lot of Twitch streamers that are using the term donation incorrectly from a business and tax perspective. The unofficial term dono is probably a lot better to use in that case. It's sort of the lingo and the vocabulary, but donations are not the right word. It's more like tips. It's all taxable too, so check with check US and other local tax law for more info on that stuff. But the big thing here is that with donos and Patreon and all kinds of other stuff, there's now ways to support creators directly. And of course, the platforms were not going to let that just keep on happening and not get in on the fun. Non-advertisement revenue took off as audiences tipped their favorite creators, contributing to a talent exodus from YouTube to Twitch, among other things, around the time Patreon was taking off. One of the big reasons why I checked out Twitch was I remember people thinking that it was better, and a lot of people were leaving specifically because of the adpocalypse and some other things, but there were people actually able to pay their rent off of what they made from Twitch streaming back in the days when there was more growth for smaller creators, before it became what it is today. And so when YouTube was ad revenue only, it turned into an underdog. That's no longer the case, but the partner program is still set up from the days when it was ad revenue only. YouTube responded with a non-advertisement system of their own, closing the gap. However, yeah, supers and memberships. The partner program is still one size fits all with both ad revenue and non-ad revenue. YouTube's right to monetize is placing ads on non-partnered videos. The question is, should monetization be split now that ad revenue is being eclipsed by other ways that platforms can share revenue with creators, and non-ad revenue doesn't require ad sales or the fickleness of advertising? Here's my question. This is something I'm going to post in the comments of the latest Creator Insider videos and YouTube Creators videos talking about this sort of thing. Just got to get to it after the show. Here's something to think about. What if somebody has a really supportive fan base that regularly tips, and in this case, in YouTube's ecosystem, would be super chats and memberships? What if somebody had a really good audience, but the stuff they did wasn't ad-friendly? Do you cut them out and give up that stuff to Patreon? Or direct donos or PayPal or something along those lines? Just because they don't make stuff that's all that advertiser friendly? I think YouTube needs to answer this question, and they need to answer this question sooner rather than later. And here's something else too. The YouTube partner program was gated behind 4,000 watch hours and 1,000 subs when it got too low because everybody was able to be a partner. And so there were people making like less than $10 a year or something that were YouTube partners. But that was in the days of advertising only. So now that YouTube has diversified all of that stuff, why do they still need to gate partnership or the monetization that doesn't involve ads behind all of this? If you go to the support documents for partner support, you'll see that. Why exactly does the entire rest of, why does it have to be, supers and stuff, why does that have to be some kind of bonus to being able to get ad revenue? That's the thing. And if you read the help articles, the guidance that YouTube is giving right now is for certain types of stuff, deliberately turn off advertising. Well, what if people don't do that? So I think YouTube's overdue to create something similar to Twitch affiliates, where it doesn't involve advertising, but at a much lower level of consistent activity and content, you can get in on the people side of all of this, even if you're not making ad revenue. And so people get bounced between ad revenue or no ad revenue, depending on whether or not they're ad friendly. But you don't kick the entire channel out of the program. We'll have to see whenever YouTube figures this stuff out. Ad revenue comes with baggage, such as advertiser friendliness, caring about that, and the amount of ads sold. Non-ad revenue is generated by enthusiastic fans tipping creators, not tied to anything that is centralized. That's the big thing. And whereas YouTube may have had to limit access to ad revenue for math reasons, they don't need to limit access to the other stuff. Limiting access to non-ad revenue hurts YouTube by limiting a platform cut, and they lose it to sites like Patreon. So long as YouTube continues to blend ad and non-ad into the partner program, it will continue to be a little bit outdated and limited versus redesigning everything to keep with the times. So let's restart talking about Patreon, SCPay, PayPal, etc. And until this happens, they're losing money. YouTube's right to monetize. This is the weird one. Because here's the thing. We actually posted this over on Twitter earlier, so we're not going to totally go wild with the slide here. But we now have a situation where one of the benefits of becoming a partner used to be getting ad revenue. Well, now it's technically getting less ad revenue. And the reason for that is because if people are ticked off about ads, the ability to control the ads in your channel is now the benefit of getting partnered. So in my case, what I'm looking to do is I'm looking to turn off mid-rolls for videos that are like a half hour or less, unless they're incredibly super popular and going around the mainstream YouTube circuit, so to speak. That would require them to be some of the top earners or top viewed or whatever on this channel. But for most of the stuff, like most of the tech videos and things like that, that don't touch those numbers, what do we need the mid-rolls for in terms of chasing pennies when we could have a better experience for people watching? So Until YouTube decides to get with it with this stuff, the only thing you can do in order to have ads show up less frequently is go into every single video in the YouTube Cloud Editor and manually delete the ad breaks that are placed by the system. So, advertiser friendliness, of course, that's what people are freaking out about demonetization, when all the demonetization really means is that it's just not ad friendly. So yeah, there's just an overemphasis on advertising, when in reality, YouTube already has the alternatives to this sort of thing. YouTube Premium revenue share is all shared on one partner program. That's the hardest to get into, and why? Why lose all of that? We talked about YouTube affiliate a while back, and what about ad revenue if this happens, etc. I'm just going to put these slides up on Twitter. It's great. This would make a great video, but I'm looking at this because, quite frankly, it's time to do something about the mid-rolls. Mid-rolls are getting too aggressive, so unless it's one of the top videos on the channel, I want to take them out. And what a world we live in, where YouTube has gotten to the point, and they've developed so much from where they started, that YouTube has become the sort of platform where you want less monetization because it's better for people to actually like your videos, because they're not getting interrupted by mid-rolls half the darn time. Either way. So there we go. Yeah, and by the way, speaking of being sick of YouTube annoyances nowadays, I'm sick and tired of just barreling away in these streams to nothing most of the time. So I'm going to do some videos now. Didn't see that one coming, did you? What do you want me to do? Call out lurkers? Who are you? Stuff you're not supposed to do on Twitch. That's really all I wanted to talk about today, is some stuff that's going on. Yeah, it's only 10:32 at the Geek House. The night is still young. So, yeah, videos are better off done in the middle of the night. We have all this noise canceling stuff for streams, but if I want to record something, if I use the camcorders, we lose all of that stuff unless we play like crazy in post or something like that. So, we're going to start with this. And we're going to get to all this darn gear that's been sitting in the box for weeks now, new, untouched, unopened, because of all the stuff that's been going on, and to an extent, all this streaming, the stuff in ESO, and other stuff like that. But barreling away as a streamer, not going to be my thing on YouTube. I mean, it's just, the chat speaks for itself. One person will say something, and someone will stop by with a super chat every so often if I do a nice enough topic, but I really don't want to be around here barreling for donos when I've got ideas for videos that I could have done something about. Who knows? Alright, shut that darn music off. YouTube, it all started with cameras and passion and an idea and things along those lines. Sometimes even crappy consumer cameras and stuff. Not like stuff you'd see for like a video production crew. But yeah, classic YouTube, I think it should be very much a thing. Check out the new playlist over on the channel, and I will be going over it, adding every other retro video that I can think of that I'm going to add to that. I'm going to add mostly 2000s, some 2010s, but largely as a way for folks to see what I've seen. If you can imagine the difference in the videos of yesteryear versus today, and what that means for YouTube as a platform, then you might be able to understand where I'm coming from with 2000s YouTube versus 2010s YouTube versus 2020s YouTube. There'll be a wide range of stuff in that playlist eventually, but if you put it on shuffle, you'll see the YouTube world that I've known over the years, because I'm going to go through, do some digging, find whatever old stuff is still out there or has been re-uploaded or something, and make an experience in that playlist for folks to check out, so they can know where I'm coming from in all of this, and where anybody who's been on YouTube as long as I have, or even close to as long as I have, where we're coming from. Because, yeah, things have changed, not all of it for the better, but some of the new stuff has brought along just some new opportunities to, do some stuff. Some of this new stuff is pretty cool compared to what was there before. But in the interest of folks knowing where I'm coming from, that playlist should work wonders. This is MultimediaJay, signing off. Thanks for stopping by.